Hey friends, Barky Dog here, back with another movie review. This time we're looking at Solar Crisis, a sci-fi movie from 1990, also known as Starfire. In this one, the year is 2050, and scientists have figured out that there's going to be a massive-ass solar flare that will strike the Earth and wipe out all life on the planet. Apparently, they have enough time to build a special spaceship and design an antimatter bomb to break up the flare before the sun cuts loose. Not everyone believes this, however. A corporate dude decides he can use the crisis to clean up and sets about sabotaging the flight. As a vital part of the mission, a bio-enhanced chick is on board who has special enhancements, besides the obvious ones, which make her a vital mission operative. The corporate guy has a henchman reprogrammer to sabotage the mission. Meanwhile, the mission commander's son and the admiral's grandson has gone AWOL from his military school, trying to get to the space station before his dad leaves on the flight. He gets stuck in the desert and meets up with a space-out nomad played by Jack Palance. The corporate dude wants both of them dead because they have secret info which will undermine his plans if it gets out. The granddad joins in the search for the kid as the mission to the sun gets underway. During the journey, the mission is fraught by sabotage and overacting as the crew tries desperately to save humanity from Mr. Sun. You can tell right off, they wanted this to be like 2001, A Space Odyssey. They really try to evoke the aesthetic of that film with the space station, shot from the same angles, to the spherical spacecraft reminiscent of the Ares lunar shuttle. The computer on the bomb is an AI that is very much like the HAL 9000, only not crazy. There's some name brands in the cast here. Charlton Heston is the admiral in charge. Jack Palance plays a desert hippie-type nomad. Tim Matheson is here as the commander of the mission. Peter Boyle is the corporate bad guy. Dorian Harewood is an engineer, a familiar face. He's been in a lot of stuff. Corin Numek plays Matheson's son. He was on Stargate SG-1. Paul Williams, who was Little Enos in Smokey and the Bandit. He's the voice of the bomb's computer. He's alright. And if you look fast, you'll spot Paul Carr as a corporate executive. He played Lee Kelso on the second pilot of Star Trek. Paul Koslow is the henchman guy. He's good. And Annabelle Schofield plays the bio chick. Liked her. She hasn't been in many movies, sadly, mostly opting to work behind the cameras. The premise may not be entirely scientifically plausible, but it serves. The miniatures are really nicely made. The special effects work, for the most part. They do look a bit out of date for 1990. They look more like mid to late 1970s. Not exactly ILM quality here, but not bad. Even the futuristic clothes and fashion design are good, like those umbrella things. I mean, that's a nice touch. But none of those elements are the problem here. No. Unfortunately, this movie suffers from being crappy. The picture was supposedly directed by Adam Smithy, there's a red flag, which is a pseudonym used by Hollywood people when they don't want their name attached to an embarrassing flop. Same for the writers. Some of the writers used pen names. Even the producers did some post-production work and didn't want to take credit for it. The original source material was a popular Japanese sci-fi novel, but when this picture bombed in Japan, it had to be extensively recut and rejiggered for an American release. The results weren't good. Seeing the original cut might be interesting, but so far as I know, it's not available. So what's wrong? First, this movie commits what I consider to be a movie sin. It's always a sign of a bad movie because it's the hallmark of lazy writing or directing. Specifically, the cast always seems to be yelling at each other in a crisis. Whenever an alarm goes off, the go-to reaction is to yell and argue. Oh no! There's an alarm! So we gotta start yelling! Everyone is angry and yelling because it's a crisis! There's a crisis! Let's yell and argue because that's dramatic! And we're yelling and arguing and fighting! Aren't you excited? You should be excited because we're yelling! They do a lot of that. Sure, they're under a lot of pressure, I get that, but yelling and fighting are hardly the sign of a disciplined crew with a mission to complete, and it's always their go-to reaction for everything. Who chose them to go on this flight? Wouldn't you choose a more emotionally stable crew if the mission is so critical? And part of the plot here is that the bio chick is reprogrammed to sabotage the mission. But how do you program a person born in a test tube? They aren't robots. They're just regular humans grown artificially. She's supposed to somehow be enhanced to be smarter and more efficient, but that doesn't mean she's a computer. Yet the henchman is able to reprogram her in like an hour to do the corporation's bidding. It's like they confused clones or bioengineering with cyborgs or androids. If the bio chick is a cyborg or otherwise enhanced with computer parts in some way, it's never mentioned and it's never explained how she's reprogrammed so easily. The corporate scientist and the sexy corporate chick have a past relationship, but you never find out what it is or what it was or what happened, and it never gets mentioned again. So why bring it up in the first place? And this sexy corporate chick, what does she actually do other than be sexy? Well, that'd be enough for me. But what's her job at this corporation? Apparently she's a high-level executive chick, but doing what exactly? It's never spelled out. Tim Matheson is mostly sleepwalking through this. I think he must have known it was crap. Charlton Heston is totally wasted here. He doesn't really have much to do. Peter Boyle could have been interesting, but his character's motivations really don't add up. He believes the crisis won't happen, and he wants to make money by cornering all the markets on goods and services, so he tries to sabotage the mission? But if the crisis does happen, what then? Wouldn't it make more sense to let the mission go ahead? He could still make money by sowing fear a la cable news. Jack Palance is trying. He has an interesting character, but again, ultimately it's all a wasted effort, and he can't save the movie. It's like there are two movies here, with the stuff on Earth feeling almost tacked on to pad out the running time. You could take almost all of the stuff about the corporation, all the stuff with the kid and Jack Palance and Charlton Heston running around out in the desert, and cut it out completely. In fact, they should have. But no one's gonna cut the star names out of their picture. But all that could be a standalone movie, or the basis for one, Well, the mission to the sun is a whole separate movie, and neither part really matters to the other despite being jammed into one movie called Solar Crisis. There are some good things here, like this shot of the henchman. I mean, look at that. I love how his hair is lit up, but his face isn't. It's excellent, almost inspired. There's a sense of menace there, but there aren't enough things like that in this picture to carry it. I liked the bio chick kind of being tweaked out from reprogramming. It's a good performance. The sexy corporate chick and the henchman, I liked him too. Jack Palance has an interesting part to play. The rest of the cast, though, they're not well served by either the direction or the script. Ultimately, there are some interesting concepts, nice effects, some good moments, but nothing really gels. In fact, it's almost as if someone injected an anticoagulant into this movie to make sure nothing gelled. At times it's good, other times it comes off as a cheap, made-for-the sci-fi channel movie of the week. I'm giving this one 1 3/4 paws. That's mostly for the bio chick's performance and the special effects. There's a few interesting things here, good effects for the time, but it's such a mess to get through and kinda tedious to watch. Solar Crisis is available on VHS, DVD, and digitally from Amazon Prime. Well, that's all I have for you this time. I need a couple of Barkinis after watching that thing, like 5 or 6. You take care, and I'll see you in the next one. This movie.